All right, welcome back, guys. Sorry, it took a bit of time. Okay, so okay, let me take those questions before we move on. Let me take those questions. All right, I believe you can see my screen. So Diamond, ask your question. Crypto Clown, you can ask your question too. Before I move on, I'm listening. Are they on the call? Crypto Clown, Diamond, what's your question? Can you guys hear me?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. They're on the call.
Ask your question. Let's move on,
Hello?
please. Yes, I can hear you.
So there was one airdrop like this. My question is based on this. There was one airdrop like this. You know, you discussed about
Okay,
this.
sir. Hello, sir. My question was that, can I ask?
Diamond, wait. Please just listen to the call. Someone is asking question already. Don't just cut the person. All right, Crypto Clown, after your question, then Diamond will ask. I'm listening.
So there was one airdrop like this. The name was Solana Classic something. That was the name. So they said use your BEP20, that is BSC wallet address to register. Are you getting me?
Yes, I'm getting you.
So, and we said that there is Sol on his own has his own blockchain. So why would they say you should use a BEP20 like BSC?
Exactly. Now you're asking this question because you're just understanding now. That's question. That alone, that they are requesting a loan is a red flag, right? It is. Now, that's how I dictate airdrops actually. That's how I did it. Like I know, did I even post that airdrop? Like I doubt. I don't think I did. Now, even though I actually posted, I think I posted one soon. If you've done your research very well, if you see, probably you must have done your research about the airdrop and you must have seen that, okay, maybe Solana actually promoted the airdrop or something. Maybe if you check through Solana's what's it called now? Hackathon. You know all these blockchain they are used to have the hackathon dates and all of that. They will have hackathon. They will see projects that have done well and all. So I don't really do any research on that. But I think I did research on OneSoul and all. And OneSoul also requested for Ethereum wallet address, Ethereum or whatever. I was telling some persons that I'm quite skeptical about it because I've not really seen how scalable they want to make this be. Probably is it that you build your own network because Solana ecosystem is quite different. Okay, SPL algorithm is quite different. It's quite different from BSC. BSC is very very easy. That's why everybody can just come on BSC and build whatever they want to build, right? Because it's very very easy. You can copy your codings and stuff. But Solana coding is actually SPL. It's quite technical, and I actually see this project asking for BSC wallet address. So I'm still skeptical about it though. I can't totally say, but so far so good with my knowledge and all I've learned. Their wallet address they are different. They are very different. Okay, they are very different. It's not like what we do on like what I explained last class, how to import different networks. That some network will have some chains you can use the same wallet address. Okay, like your Heco chain, your OKX, your Polygon Matic, your Ethereum, your BSC. They all have you can actually use the same wallet address for them. Yeah. So probably they want to do something like that on Solana, or maybe they've done that. I'm not aware. So that's just that. Yeah. But OneSoul is an airdrop, and I think they requested for either BSC or Ethereum. So maybe it's a possibility. Maybe it's possible. But the same what I've explained to you, you should actually understand better. Those things are actually red flags to me personally. All the same, we just do them and trust for the best. Okay? I believe that's okay. Do you understand my explanation, Crypto Clown?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Diamond, what's your question, please, before we move on? Why is it taking time now? Gosh. Diamond. Oof, okay, let's move on. Please, I would love you guys to just drop your comments on the chat box as we move on, as I ask for responses so that I will know that we are all following, okay? All right, so we're actually on this interface, on the swap interface. I believe Tosin is on the call. So most of us have actually interacted with this, okay? Now, this is the difference between when we talk about AMM and, let me use an annotation too. When we talk about AMM, okay, let me leave this. Let me just use text, all right? Now, we talk about AMM. AMM and let's understand this, guys. Order book. I would like to talk on this. AMM on our text. Order book on our text. Right? Let's have that on the screen. But this will give you a very, very cool picture of what's really going on. Okay. All right. Are we together, guys? Okay. Are we together? Let me get charts. All right. Now, when we talk about decentralized exchanges, okay, they use this is the major difference between decentralized exchanges and our centralized exchanges, right? Our decentralized exchanges, they make use of what we call AMM, automatic market maker. Okay, automatic market maker is actually an algorithm that, unlike our SEX, okay, actually wrote. Unlike our centralized exchanges, okay. Now, on your decentralized exchanges, like what we're actually looking at, they use what we call automatic market maker. Now, this is the difference. When you want to carry out a trade on your centralized exchanges, okay, your KuCoin, your Gate.io, your Binance, your Hotbit, you can name them, right? They don't actually do what we call automatic market maker. Like it's not there. They use what we call order book, where you see different persons with their different orders, and you choose the type of order or how you want to carry out your trade. Okay, probably you want to carry out the trade at the current market price, or probably want to carry out your trade at maybe a particular instant in price, maybe a particular price, whether it's your limit order and stuff like that. Okay, it's different. It's different now. But on decentralized exchanges, they actually use what we call automatic market maker. Now, this is what it really means. It means if I'm carrying out a trade here, if I type in any amount of a token I want to actually sell or buy, maybe I have BNB and I want to purchase cake, for example. Okay, let me use a stable coin so we can all relate to it. Okay, let's do BUSD, right? Yeah, perfect. Let's do BUSD. So I can really relate to it. Now, let me say I have BUSD, stable coin of probably $100. I want to purchase BNB, right? Now, I'm not given the leverage of seeing different prices that I would choose to buy. Okay. Now, automatically, that's why it's called AMM. Automatically, the market makes this trade happen. Okay. Automatically, automatic market maker. Automatically, this market makes this trade happen. Like these are algorithms. Okay. That immediately you type in the value of the funds you want to you can afford or want to carry out the trade, it gives you automatically the equivalent in the other currency. All right. If I type in $200, you see this automatically. This changes, right? This is the equivalent for what? For $200. Are we together, guys? That's why it's called AMM. So our decentralized exchange, they actually use what we call AMM. Most of them, automatic market maker. Okay. So you have, if you type in 200 here, you now see you see the equivalent here. All right. Is this clear, guys? If you type in any amount, let's say $478. You see the equivalent here, okay? 1.29 BNB. Do you get that? So that's what it means. That's why you are not trying to say, okay, I want to buy BNB at when BNB drops to maybe $200. You can't execute that on what? On your decentralized exchanges. It's really the one built on BSC. But as we move on to those ones built on I think Sol, I think Radium and others. I think those ones you will actually see other books and stuff. But from here, like I said, it's actually an advancement, okay? Maybe they've seen that, okay, I cannot see other book here, and they actually did that on their own ecosystem, okay? Once we look at Solana ecosystem, we'll see how that goes. You can see that even today alone, we've not even finished PancakeSwap, okay? Talk more of going to BakerySwap or OpenOcean and stuff. So that's why I said I'm going to actually spend our time here to see these things and know how they function, right? So you don't choose a particular token you want to buy and stuff. Maybe I have Bonnie or I have BNB, I want to buy Bonnie, okay, like that. I don't choose any of them. Maybe you have one to want to swap to the other one, okay? That's why they're also known as swaps, all right? So if you have Bonnie, you can type in the amount of Bonnie you want to purchase, exchange for what for your belt token, okay? So 500 Bonnie will give you this in equivalent 228.615, all right? So they'll not give you their market price. It's actually moving because it's more like it's more as though you are trading on market order on your set, okay, on your centralized exchanges, okay. It's more like you are trading on your market order because it gives you the current market price, all right. So that typing it matches you directly to the current market price. You can see this is this Bonnie per belt and stuff. So that's how that functions, guys. Then also let's also note we're not start talking about contract address, but I think that's the master course for all the same. It's a master class. In the master class, we talk about contract address, but it's fine. We are going to get there. So, but you can actually search the token you want to. But probably if not, you scroll down. Even though most of the times you should see them here, but if you scroll down, you're not seeing. They can type in. Okay, let me say let me say I have. Let me just call one unusual token. Let's say I want to exchange. Let's do chess. It's chess. Chess is not here. Okay. Like I think PancakeSwap they actually advanced to a level where if you type in a particular token and it's quite popular, you actually see it. Most of the time, if you scroll, you not see them. Then it's either you actually use your contract address. You're going to talk much more on that. So like as I was typing chess, now you can see that I have to import it, okay? Because it's not actually listed. You can see expanded resource from what inactive token list. So what we have here, there are those tokens that are actually active, okay? So I can just search any token. Let's search NIOS. Yeah, this is another good project actually. You can see NIOS too. It's not part of it's part of the inactive token, okay? Let me say I have some NIOS import, okay? Then anyone can create BP20 token. You see, Binance always give you their warnings and stuff. So just read through. So include creating fake versions of existing tokens and tokens that claim to represent projects that do not have token. Perfect. You're going to speak about all of this. You're going to learn about all of this. Before we round up our DeFi session, you're going to learn how to check in fake projects and stuff. If you purchase an arbitrary token, you may be unable to sell it back. Okay, this is what we call honeypots. Don't worry, I'm going to learn all of that, right? So you just click on understand and import it. Okay. So we now have NIOS here, right? So let me say I have 500 NIOS. I'm going to exchange for what 71.534 belts. Okay. So this is how that works, guys. So it's either you search it through the name, or we have what to call what they say paste address. Now it's not your wallet address. Your wallet address is different from your contract address. Are we following, guys? Can you see the screen? Like, are we following? Let me get comments, please. Benz, you say sex on other. Oh, are we together, guys? All right. Don't worry. Just keep your questions. Don't worry. All right. Okay. Let's move on. So now we have contract address. Okay. Now let's understand this. These two things are quite different. Okay. Let me try to edit this annotation too. Let me try to edit this, guys. I believe I've explained this. So let's know the difference between our normal wallet address. Wallet address and contract address. Okay. I always try teaching stuff to just make you guys understand this as much as possible. Okay. Just give me the time. Okay. All right. Wallet address and contract address. Guys, let's listen up. Let's listen up, okay? Now, if you're talking about wallet address, it's quite different from contract address. Now, a wallet address is your normal address you use to receive your tokens, okay? Maybe I want to send you BNB. I'll ask you, okay, give me your BNB wallet address. And I might go further to ask you, okay, give me your BNB BP20 wallet address. Or give me your BNB BP2 wallet address. Or give me your BNB ERC20 wallet address, okay? Or give me your BNB Heco chain. Give me your BNB Matic. Depends, okay? Are we together, guys? It depends. Now, that is when we talk about wallet address to receive, or when you want to receive a token, you give someone a wallet address, more like your bank account, okay? Like your account number that is linked to your bank. I explained all of this when we're talking about on our fundamental class. If you go through the YouTube videos, you understand better. Now, contract address is different. Your contract address is more like that project ID. That's that address that tells you a whole lot about the project, okay? Every project that is actually deployed on a particular blockchain have their own contract address, okay? We are not supposed to send tokens to a particular contract address unless those guys are doing what we call self-drop, okay? Which they will give you a particular contract that they'll be sending BNB here, and you're going to receive this in return and all of that and all of that. That's quite different, okay? Your contract address is like the tokens or the project's wallet ID, okay? Once you search in that contract address, it gives you every information you need about that project. So as we are going to move on to how to do our own research and stuff like that, we are going to be using this a whole lot, okay? Once I give my students contract address, my students should know what they can do with that contract address, okay? You just need a contract address to know everything about that token. Once you are done with my class, you are done with my mentorship sections, once I give you a particular token, what you should look for is just the CA. Once you get the right CA, you get every information you need about the token, okay? So a contract address just tells you a whole lot about the token. It's just like the token's biodata, okay? Just like it contains the token's information. So it's different from your wallet address, okay? Is that clear, guys? I'm feeling as if I'm shouting. Sorry. I'm quite passionate about what I'm saying. Is that clear, guys? So let's get that. Okay, let's get that. So they are different. Okay, they are different. So most of the time, as we move on, everything I'll be needing from you, or everything you'll be needing from me, most as we move as I teach you guys down to the advanced level, you just need a CA. You just need CA. Once you have a CA, you don't need to be asking somebody what's the token name, what's the token this, what's the total supply, what is the circulating supply, how many holders, and all of that. Once you have your CA, you know everything about that token. All right. So that's what we mean about contract address. So when you come here to search your token, and most of the time, they will not tell you to paste address. It's not your wallet address. They're telling you to paste what? To paste your CA. Okay, paste your CA, paste your contract address. I hope that's clear, guys. So every token that is built on a particular chain have their contract address. Now, no two chains. Okay, let's get this. Let's get this, guys. No two chains have the same contract address. Okay. The contract address for, all right. Yes. The contract address for, let's do Ethereum. The contract address for ETH built on ERC20, and that's built on BIP20. I'm not seeing what I'm typing though. Okay, how to edit this? Let me change it to red. I want to do something that will be fix the background. All right, perfect. So ETH on ERC20, and ETH built on BIP20. Perfect, guys. Okay, are we together? Now, this, like I said, no two chain have the same contract address. Okay, no two chain have the same contract address. Now, the contract address of a token built on what? on ERC20 is different from that token built on what BIP20. Okay, that's what I'm actually trying to say here. The contract address of a token built on ERC20, it mustn't be Ethereum. Okay, let's leave it this way for better understanding. The contract address of a token built on ERC20 is different from the CA built on of a token built on what, or of that same token built on what, on BP20. Okay, so the tokens will not have the same contract address on two different chains. All right, guys, let's get this. The tokens will not have the same contract address on two different chains. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. For example, let's look at a token now. Okay, let's look at a token now. Let me take us to. Sorry, it's when I want to teach us about how to do our own research. We are going to do. But let's learn. Let's go to which of them will I use now? Let's do CoinGecko. Okay. Sorry, I want to explain this. Okay, I want to explain this, what I mean by this statement. Okay, fine. I already have a token here. I think I was checking out this token last time. That's our Dropbox. This more as though how you do your research, all right? But we've not gone there. So let's look for a token that is built on both chains. Let's do both chains. Who can give me a token? Who can give me a token? Which one? That is built on both chains. Okay. Let's do Matic Polygon. Let's see whether Matic is built on both chains. Can you see the screen, guys? Can you see the screen? Don't use the annotation 2. Don't use the 2, please. Somebody is trying to use the 2. Don't use the 2. All right. So let's do Matic. Let me see. I think Matic is a cross-chain project. Let me be sure about that. Perfect. So see Matic, for example, right? Polygon Matic. They have Polygon POS. That is built on Polygon chain. Okay, this Polygon chain, and it also has a contract that is built on Harmony shared. This Harmony shared is also a chain too. Okay, so it's built on both chains. So most of the time, you check tokens and you come to contract address. All right, you come to contract. If you okay, this CoinGecko actually, this CoinGecko.com. All right, CoinGecko is it's a massive tool that we use to do our research. CoinMarketCap is there also, and all of that. I'm going to explore all of that as we move on. I just want to explain that statement to us, how that a token can have what different contract address. For example, this is an example. You can see Matic Polygon, bit on Matic Polygon chain, bit on Harmony chain. Okay. Then if you search any project, I was trying to search any common project. But once you actually search any project and you see any double chain, that's what they're trying to tell you. Okay. Now, if you look at this sign, now it means what? This is Theta that is built on what? On Ethereum chain. This is the sign here. Okay. So you can see Theta. This is just a perfect example. Like I told us, this is it's a stable currency, right? So stable currencies are built across all the chains. I tell you, across all the chains. This is a perfect example. You can see this now. This is Echo. Can you see this, guys? This is BSC, Binance. This is USDT built on what? On BSC. This is a contract address. USDT built on Solana chain. This is a contract address. So that means I can actually send USDT to Solana chain. I explained this on the previous classes we had, right? Because this is a contract address for what? For Solana. If you want to add it now, if you want to mint it on Sole.io or all of that, this is what the contract address. Now this is your USDT built on what? On Echo, Hobby, Echo chain, all right? This USDT built on what? Avalanche. You remember we spoke about all these chains, guys. Remember, these are all on chain, these are blockchain projects, okay? This is their contract address. You can see it's different. Are they the same? No, they are not the same. They are all different. Built on Polygon, POS, this Polygon Matic, this is a chain. IOTEX is a chain. Harmony Shard is a chain. Arbitrum 1 is a chain. You see that? See Tomo. loss of chain, guys, Tomo chain, you can go all and all. Okay, this is what I'm just trying to explain to you guys. No project have the same contract address on different chain. Okay, they are all different words, contract addresses. I believe this is quite explanatory. I believe so. Let's go back to what we have there. Is that explanation clear enough, guys? It should. I believe it's clear enough. Okay. So that's just the difference. All right. I want to talk about on different chain project. Okay. So if I now tell you to go and buy, maybe you want to fund your Matic chain, or sorry, you want to fund your Heco chain with USDT. You now understand the contract address you are going to use to add it to that chain. Okay. Well, we want to talk about contract address. We'll learn a whole lot about that. Okay, that's just the difference. So that's how these are DEX. That's how DEX work, like exchange or PancakeSwap work. Okay. So if you type in any token here, you can choose any token you want to swap, BUSD, then choose any of the token you're swapping it to. These ones are quite common. You can type in any of the token name or the contract address, paste it here. You know that if you're pasting any contract address, say you're pasting the one built on what? On BSC, Binance Smart Chain. You will not copy Ethereum contract address and come and paste here, right? You will not do that. You will not copy Echo Chain contract address of that token and come and paste here. It's not going to work, okay? If you are pasting USDT contract address now, you are going to paste it what in BSC. Okay, why? Let's even do that. Let's do that practically. Let's do it practically. No need. Okay. We have 10 minutes before this call goes off. So yeah, we want to paste what USDT built on what? On Binance Smart Chain. Look at it. Just copy. We've copied it. So come here and paste it. Even without me typing the name, if I paste it now, see what showed, right? Are we seeing this, guys? This USDT, built on what? PancakeSwap extended, built on what is active. So just click on it. Just paste it, Ctrl V, it's active. So just click on the enter key. You see that, right? Let's try USDT. Let's try what is it called now? Let's try another chain. Okay. Let's try Tomo chain. Let's try Tomo chain on BSC. Let's say that to pop up. I'm just doing it for practical sake. Was any result found? No result found because PancakeSwap is what? It's a BSC project. Okay, it's a Binance Smart Chain project. It's built on what? BSC. So the USDT want to interact with here is what is built on what? On BSC. So if I copy contract address of USDT on any other chain, it will not what? It will not display here. That's my explanation, guys. It will not display. I hope you understand. I trust you understand. So that's how contract address works actually. But we're going to look into all of that, how to read, how to communicate with contract address and stuff. Okay. So I believe this is clear enough. So now that's that about that. If you want to swap any token, I can tell you, okay, go and buy this token. This is the contract address. You know what to do, okay? And I'll tell you this is the contract address, this is the chain. Okay, the last time I actually posted about Matic. No, I posted about what's it called? Maki Swap. That's Maki. Maki is the name of the native token. And it's built on Heco chain. I just posted it. I just posted a contract address, posted a chain you can get it from, and I just left. And my DM was just filled with questions because not everybody can actually buy it that way, because they don't actually understand DeFi. That's why you have to learn these things, all right? So let's go on. Now, if we move down, before I check this, what's it called, the settings icon there. If I move down, we have just some minutes before this call goes off. I think we might just have this call. Continue the class. I'm actually enjoying the class, and I believe we are too. So once you are done with all this, the arrangement and stuff, you have to connect your wallet. Normal, you have to connect your wallet before you can do anything. Yes, you have to, because I tell you, your wallet helps you to interact with the blockchain ecosystem. That's just the use of your wallet, okay? You have to connect your wallet to enable PancakeSwap interact with your wallet, all right? So you have to connect it, okay? Now, minimum receive, even though I'm supposed to get this actually, because of the volatility of the market, I might get this. This is the minimum I can get. No matter how this market goes down now, the minimum I can get is what is 496.8. Then price impact. What is price impact? Okay, the difference between the market price and what? An estimated price due to what? Due to your trade size. All right. So your price impact is very, very important. This price impact is high. It's actually advisable not to do what, not to proceed with that swap, unless you want to take the chances. But if your price impact is high, it tells you a whole lot about that your transaction. Is that you're going to lose the output you are getting, that's your return. You might get probably less of the return. Okay, so always check your price impact. Should be less, not more than 5. Should not be more than 5%. But most times, depending on the volatility of the market is very volatile. You might get price impact of up to sometimes 10. If the contract address is quite buggy, okay, we are going to speak about all of that. Your smart contract can go up to even 95% or 50%. So some buggy smart contracts used to show that, okay? Some buggy contract address used to actually show that. If the smart contract is buggy, it actually shows here too. It's one of the ways you can check buggy smart contract. Now, liquidity provider fee, okay? Now, for each trade, is 0.25% is paid for it. So out of this 0.25% is paid, 0.17% is LP token holders. You get. That's why if you are providing liquidity, we're going to call that. There's just a whole lot to learn. Actually, there's a whole lot. If you are providing liquidity, you are going to get tokens in return. That's what happens. Okay, that's what happens, guys. There's 0.03 to the treasury. There's 0.05 towards cake, buyback, and bond. You know this buyback and bond policy of cake actually. So every token you're interacting with, they have their what? They have their the way they actually code their smart contract. They have their decisions. Okay, it's more like, you know, smart contract is just like you telling striking a deal. For example, those men have actually transacted with SafeMoon. You know, if you want to swap SafeMoon now, you will see SafeMoon telling you that you give them 5% of the token you're swapping, okay? Because they all have that actually embedded in their smart contract, all right? So that's just what they are actually trying to tell you there. They are going to charge you 0.25 as total fee. That 0.25, 0.17 is actually LP token holders, liquidity pool holders, okay? I want to explain this. We are going to get to that, or not in today's class. There's 0.03 as treasury, 0.05 as and cake, buyback, and bond, right? So that's that, guys. So liquidity provider fee is around 1.25 USD. Because the higher the token you're actually transacting, that is the higher your fee. Yeah, normal. You understand that? Okay. So let's go here. Let's see some settings. So normal, dark mode, and all. That's normal. Then default transaction speed. Now GWEI, we call that way. Now this if you are adjusting your gas price, that's why I told you guys to go and do your research. I gave you guys assignment to go and learn about what transaction fees, learn about miners and stuff. Because adjust this gas price transaction fee for your transaction. That's higher go equals higher speed because higher fees. Now the truth is, if you're kind of any transaction, normally for those people that actually carry out the assignments, you should know what miners are. They help you to fix your transaction into a block to get the answers to the computations and all of that. Okay, because if they charge you high, if I increase this to instant, that's like 7 way for fee. If I'm carrying out any transactions, it will be very, very fast. Very, very fast. Because the person that actually gets that transaction fixed into a block, we get the payment. Okay, they'll be paid for answering that computation. That's the whole idea about blockchain. Okay, that's the whole idea. So that's the work of miners. Okay, those people that actually mine. Yes, when we talk about staking, it's actually different. Okay, like when we come to staking and liquidity, we're going to explain that better to us. All right, okay. So if you want to carry out it, maybe you are actually trying to carry out the transaction. This is one of the ways you can actually make it to hasten your transactions. Actually, if you maybe want to buy a token very, very fast, you want to waste time, and the volatility of that token is very, very high. People are buying and selling, and because of the volatility, is that you actually increase your transaction speed. When you increase it, your transaction is going to get confirmed very, very fast. So that's just why we have this here. But normally, we used to leave it on the standard of 5. Okay. Then when we talk about swaps and liquidity, then that's when we're talking about our slippage tolerance. I like explain this to us very, very well. Because if a market is very volatile, guys, your slippage tolerance is very, 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 very important. Most times, people will try to increase it to 20. Although we have a trick on how to buy tokens, even though they tell you that if you have some errors when you want to purchase tokens, during the time of shit coins and stuff like that, some person want to buy a token and they'll tell you transaction fee every time and all. Although there are tricks or ways to actually do that. Now, if the market is very volatile, especially those newly listed projects or those shit coins and stuff, most times they will try to increase your slippage to 20%, 25% if you can purchase. Now, this is what really happens. When we talk about slippage tolerance, you see the percentages. This is what really happens, guys. if I increase my slippage 1%, okay, I'm telling the market, or I'm telling the protocol or the algorithm that if the market moves above the current market price by 1% or moves below it by 1%, execute the trade for me. I want to purchase that token, so I don't want to waste time. Okay, so if I'm doing my slippage tolerance, I believe you are following, guys. I believe you are following. The next 1 minute will go up. Let us join back. Then we'll also round up. We're just talking about pancake swap alone, and we're taking over how many hours? An hour plus. Okay. So slippage tolerance. Now, if you are increasing your slippage, let me say I want to increase it to what? To 20%. This is what you're telling the market, or this is what you're telling the protocol. This is actually risky because they won't give you the 1 year. Your transaction may be front run. This is what it's trying to tell you. That is front run. It means 20% slippage means that what? If because of the volatility of this market, if this market goes in seconds above 20%, execute the trade. If it goes in seconds below 20%, execute the trade. So it means that if I'm carrying out this trade, maybe I'm supposed to buy maybe a token for maybe $100, and that token has scaled up to maybe $115, $120. You're telling the market that still buy it. If it scales up to not more than 20%, still execute the trade. It's quite risky, guys. It's quite risky. But that's what you're actually telling the protocol. That's what they're telling the algorithm to execute for you. That's why most times when you increase your slippage, yeah, you can actually buy some tokens. But this is actually what you're telling the protocol, okay? So let's join back in. Once the call goes off, let's join back in. Once you join back in, I'll take questions.